everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about mono white hammer time, which is close to what I normally play in competitive events. I normally play blue-white hammer time, but yesterday at FNM, I decided to try mono white, and I'm not a fan, but I think the deck is neat, and I'm running a new card from Lord of the Rings, so that's neat too. So, mono white hammer time, or just the hammer time deck, is a creature combo deck that uses Colossus Hammer, which is a 1 mana equipment artifact. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and loses flying, but the equipped cost is 8 mana. But we get to cheat and play a couple different cards to let us equip it for significantly less than that. So, using these cards, you are allowed to cheat Colossus Hammer onto a creature for 0 mana. So let's say my board state is Ornithopter. Drum, land. So let's say my turn 1 was Plains, Drum, Ornithopter, Zagarda's Aid. Now my opponent is shook, because my next turn I get to go attacks with Ornithopter, and then after they declare no blocks, you get to cast Colossus Hammer at instant speed, because Zagarda's Aid says you may cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash, and whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach it to target creature you control. So Hammer will enter the battlefield, Zagarda's Aid will trigger, you target Ornithopter with that trigger, attach it. Now you have a 10-12 Ornithopter, smacking him in the head. Similarly, if you have Forge Anew, and let's say like an Esper Sentinel and another Ornithopter, you can say, I'd like to move to attacks and attack with all your critters. Forge Anew says when it enters, you may return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield, which that alone is pretty sweet. But as long as it's your turn, you may activate equip's abilities anytime you could cast an instant. And you may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equipment ability you activate during each of your turns. So use Alpha Strike with all your critters, and your opponent goes, oh, I'll block Esper Sentinel and your Ornithopter. If you want to save your Esper Sentinel, you can pay 0 and equip this onto here, or you can hit him for 10 here. Personally, I'm a big fan of making your Esper Sentinel an 11/11, and anytime they cast a non-creature spell, looking him straight in the eye, pointing at Esper Sentinel, and go, trigger, would you like to pay 11 mana? And they always look at me like they want to strangle me. But it's a legitimate question. The other way to cheat hammer onto a creature is with Beer Steel Paladin. He says whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card, which is pretty good with Urza's Saga, because this card, after its third lore ability, lets you search your deck for a Colossus Hammer, and you put it into play. And if you have a Beer Steel Paladin in play already, he will trigger, and you get to draw a card. But the real important thing is he has Metalcraft. Equipment you control have equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Metalcraft is an ability that says basically it gains that ability as long as you own 3 or more artifacts. I don't know the specifics, but that's what it does in the long run. And what do you know? We have 3 or more artifacts in play. So I'll use this equipped ability for 0, equip it here before attacks, because I don't have Shape Anew. And now look at that, we got an 11/11. Some neat tricks you can do with this deck is, let's say you have a Forge Anew, a Culture Complete, and another creature attacking. I need a token. Good enough. Here's my Germ token. It's a 0/0 Black Phyrexian. So, if I'm attacking with both of these, we go to first strike damage. Culture Complete will deal 5. Using Forge Anew, I can use that to equip this, the Ornithopter at instant speed. This will die, unfortunately, but Ornithopter will then deal 5 damage instead of 0. Because, long story short, if a creature gains first strike, after first strike damage, it will still deal regular damage. It's weird, but it's in the rules. Another way to just win outright is with Inkmoth Nexus. So if I have an Inkmoth Nexus, let's say a couple lands, where's the Pure Steel? There he is. So let's say this is my board state. So there it is. That's important. So this is my board state. I can pay 1 to make Inkmoth Nexus a 1/1 creature with flying and infect until end of turn. Infect is an ability that says my creature deals damage to other creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, and to players in the form of poison counters. If a player has 10 or more poison counters, they lose the game. So what you can do is make this a creature, equip the hammer to the Inkmoth Nexus, but he loses flying. However, you can activate Inkmoth Nexus again, and he will gain flying again. And that is because of timestamps. So the hammer making Inkmoth Nexus lose flying happens in a layer. Don't ask me which one. I'm not gonna tell you because I don't know. But hammer losing, or Inkmoth Nexus losing flying, and then gaining flying happens in the same layer. So the game will see that it gains flying from the ability, will lose flying from the ability, then gains flying again from the ability again, and then it will keep flying so you can soar over your opponent's creatures and murder them. Some other neat tricks in this deck. This deck list that I have, this mono white list, doesn't have too many other neat little tricks. I don't know. Normally I play blue-white with the most powerful Dorito, the reality chip, and I play some blacksmith skills. Normally I'm trying Surge of Salvation. It's kind of neat, but I don't like my creativity matchup. So with blacksmith skill I can use this to give their creature or artifact or their permanent that they target with creativity, make it indestructible, and they don't get to flip the top card of their library to find their Archon. And that's neat because I don't want them to have an Archon, because that makes me die, and I wanna make them not win. Hammer Time seems like a cheesy win deck, but I think this deck is actually very complicated, has lots of really deep lines, and rewards players who become familiar with the deck in those lines. I think it rewards them heavily. And maybe that's why I don't like the mono white list, because I'm not as familiar with it. But it's also playing some number of solitudes, and I don't like this in this deck, because mono white already is a deck that kind of just, here's my hand, deal with it. So now you're adding a solitude, that 2-for-1s. So it exiles a white card from your hand, comes into play, and then it kills a thing, but then it dies. And I'd much rather be like, here's my reality chip, equip it onto my Ornithopter, cast Shadow Spear, cast, this. I just want to flood the board and say, here, deal with this. So maybe I just need to play mono white different, but I'm a Magic player. I like value. Chip gives you value. But that's about all I can think of for this deck, and some neat tricks. Maybe I'll play a game with it quick. Not that this is a very interesting goldfish deck, but it's something, right? Today I went to a Legacy proxy event. It was a win-a-box, and I came with 8 cast, and I died to someone playing Neoform Dualcaster Mage, and and then I left because I was like, I'm not having fun anymore because I died to a meme. So this hand is bad because sure, I can go turn 1 giver and then play this on turn 2. I mean, like, it's better, but knowing what I see here, this is pretty bad. So this is a mulligan. See, now this is what I'm talking about. So I'll keep this and put my extra Stone Forge onto the bottom of my deck for the mulligan. So turn 1, I'm going to play a Plains and Springleaf Drum, and then I'd pass. And then I would play my Urza's Saga, and this would trigger. And then I would play my Stoneforge Mystic. Now I could get a hammer, but I only have 1 artifact. No way to cheat it in except for Pure Steel Paladin, but it's not that great here. So, personally, I think getting a Shadow Spear here is best, because I have 2 Urza's Sagas, so I can start churning out some artifact construct creatures. This will go to 2. Then I would play my second Urza's Saga, which has 1 counter on it. What? There we go. And then I would pass my turn. No, actually I lied. We'll play the Shadow Spear, because I should have done that the first turn with the drum, but you know, I'm really bad at this game, as you're starting to figure out as you watch my second time making a video, and I know how to misplay. But so I would, on their end step, activate Urza's Saga, make a 1/1 construct that gains 1/1, or +1/+1 for each artifact in play that you control. So then I'd go to my turn. Draw. These would both trigger. So, with Urza's Saga, with the 3rd lore counter trigger on the stack, you hold priority because it doesn't die until, it doesn't sacrifice until after its last lore ability has resolved. So you hold priority. And then you activate, make another construct, and then this resolves. So we're gonna search for a hammer, and that goes onto the battlefield. So then I'll play a Plains, and then I'll cast Pure Steel Paladin. Then from here I can equip this and this onto my critter for free. Go attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's a 5/5. The Shadow Spear makes him a 6/6. Hammer makes him a 16/16 with lifelink and trample. You know, gaining life, trampling over, ain't a bad deal. And then you just kind of keep doing it till they're dead. Look, there's another hammer. They're probably dead here. But that's a little bit of gameplay. Not my best, but you get the gist of it. I find I play much cleaner when I'm like actually in a competitive event. But when I'm just playing games with people or screwing off or whatever, I don't play as well. I should probably take it more serious, but that's for future me to worry about. But anyway, thanks for watching my second video. If you have any suggestions, feedback, anything for me, just leave a comment or anything. Let me know. But I'll see you next time. Thanks again.